Welcome to Recovery Monday on this gorgeous day, and we thank you for taking the time for tuning in today and listening. Of course, we have a very special program today. We have a couple, Mike and Dawn Schneider, who have raised a young man who has, and I'm going to make sure I get this right, cognitive development delay. And explain to me what that is. What is it that Corey has?
Back in the day, it was called mental retardation.
Okay.
They don't call it that anymore. Apparently, that's offensive. So it's now considered intellectual disabilities.
Okay.
He does not process like the rest of us. Things are much harder. It's harder for him to learn. It's harder for him to understand. So just the processing and his ability to grasp concepts is very challenging for him.
Okay, but he's the nicest young man you're ever going to meet. You know, we all go to church together, and he's always high-fiving folks and telling them hi, and it doesn't, well, of course, I'm probably wrong on this because you're the parent, but doesn't seem to be a behavioral issue. You just kind of stick with him, you know, right?
We do. He's been a joy. He's got a number of spiritual gifts. One of them is, he's a social butterfly. He has never met a stranger. He's actually taught us a lot of lessons when it comes to how to interact with people. He also has a savant-type gift where he will remember names, and he'll meet somebody once, and it could be another day, week, month, or year later, and he'll see that person, and he will say, "Hi, Mac." And it can be a little embarrassing for his parents because we'll be walking with him like through the mall or whatever else, and somebody will come up to Corey and he'll say, "Hi, Mac," or whatever it is, and we'll have that deer in the headlight look and go, "Hi, how are you?" And
I know how that works.
we get about 10 feet away from the person. We look to Corey and we say, "Who was that?"
Yeah.
So, but he's a joy. But as Dawn said, he just processes things differently, learns differently, and so that's a challenge for us.
Okay, let's go back to, by the way, Lila Stafford is here from Powell CDC. They are the sponsors and underwriters of this show. And, of course, we have Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, now retired 2 weeks, right?
Little over 2 weeks.
Are you missing work yet?
No.
But you miss the people, don't you?
Miss people.
Do you
Yeah.
hear a lot from them?
No.
No?
I went to see him today.
You
but-
did?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I have to testify. I have to testify in court tomorrow, and I had to get
Oh.
all my data.
Bob was a forensic scientist for the state of Iowa for 35 and a half years and just retired a couple weeks ago. Ryan is producing today. I'm J. Michael McCoy, if I haven't told you lately. Thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. My guests today are Mike and Dawn Schneider. They have a 17-year-old son by the name of Corey, and you also have an older son, and his name is...
His name is Kellen. He's 19, and he is a sophomore down in Nashville, Tennessee at Belmont University.
Really? What's he want to be when he grows up?
Something in your space. He wants to get into motion pictures, and he's always had a goal since, well, as far as we can remember, that he wants to produce clean comedy. He loves comedy, but he hates the fact that you have to hear too many words that just don't belong to make it funny. So
I thought it was interesting on that when Robin Williams died. Robin Williams was just huge to me. You know, he was an alcoholic as I am. He loved comedy and performing and very physical comedy. And as I went through YouTube, I could find the joke that he told about how golf was invented with bad language. And then I could find the same joke over here that was G-rated. And I have to tell you, I'm not trying to be a prude, but the bad language didn't improve the joke. In fact, if anything, maybe it took something away from it, and that's maybe just because I don't like to hear that language. But, well, that's good. I hope he gets a chance to do that. Now, you guys, you're young. I mean, you must have gotten married at 12 or 15. And you were,
something like that.
Yeah, were you babysitting? When he...
Oh, God bless you. Actually, we've been brainwashing Kellen since he was little. We got married old.
Really?
Yes. I was 30. Mike was 33. Yep. And we got married 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days after our first date.
Wow. Oh, I wouldn't have guessed that at all. You guys look very, very young.
We're very young looking.
3 years.
You were married 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days after your first date. Wow. And then you had Kellen shortly after. And does Kellen have any disabilities?
Well, we think everybody has disabilities,
Okay.
but no,
right.
not medically or technically, no.
Although we joke, use that in quotations, that when people ask us about Corey and they use the, does he have special needs? And we say yes. And they ask if we have any other children. We say yes, Kellen, and he has special needs of his own. It's just on a different end of that spectrum. But to raise a Kellen took special, requirements on our part as parents. And they're two. They love each other, but they are totally different. But they both have their own special needs and what they need to.
All right. And
survive.
so my 4 children would have special needs. Everybody has special needs.
Absolutely.
I love the way to look at that.
That's
awesome.
I used to teach school, and I always had this saying that everyone has a pathway to success, and it's the teacher and the parents' duty to find that pathway. And not very many teachers feel that way, but I do. I totally do.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So what are Kellen's special needs?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Kellen has always been mature, and he's always been very intellectual. And so from an early age, what you might have expected out of a 7 or an 8 or 9 or 11-year-old, he was a little bit advanced for that. So he was our first child, and here we're thinking, this is the norm.
Yeah.
Not really. He excelled at certain things, and again, his maturity was beyond where we expected him to be, or we were led to believe a child of his age would be. And so he, especially for his father, was a challenge, because he was smarter than he should be at that age. And so he
Challenging you.
He was very challenging.
Yeah.
And but hopefully in a good way. Hopefully it's been just part of that development.
I'm trying to think of Michael J. Fox's character on Family Ties. Does that kind of how Kellen was? Just seemed to just have it all figured out and know before you did what's going on.
Yeah, that was very accurate.
Okay.
We were constantly reminding each other and ourselves what his chronological age was.
Okay.
Because we had to parent to that as well. But he also had an answer for everything.
Yeah.
And you're finding out now he was right.
Actually, what I think has been very good, very humbling for both of us is that he will, and this is where I think his maturity comes in, because if I look back on my maturity at his age and draw a comparison, it pales in comparison. But he will, on occasion, call us out and say, "Dad, Mom, you were right. What you taught me X number of years ago, and I was being bullheaded or whatever the case may be. I just want you to know you're right." Now, in the youth of today, it's mostly via text.
Yeah.
but it's
Right.
still, he's taking the time to put those words down and convey them to us.
Do you write them down?
I will take pictures of the chats or the texts just
Yeah.
to save them in my photo directory.
Yeah. Well, no, and here's the reason I say this. I have my office at home, in my home office, has cork on the walls. And so it's just a big bulletin board because I'm ADD visually, and I love that stuff. And when my now 28-year-old daughter comes back and says, Dad, you were right, I write that sucker down. And I put it on the bulletin board so I can see it every single day that she, of course, thinks she's right and I'm not. So can remember those. Don and Mike Schneider are my guests today. They have 2 children. They have Kellen, who is 19, and a freshman or sophomore? Sophomore down at Belmont College College.
Yep. In the neighborhood of Vanderbilt.
In Nashville, Tennessee, one of my favorite towns. Oh, man. And Corey, who is 17, and both have special needs. Corey's we call cognitive development delays. But you told me earlier in a conversation that he had never been diagnosed. Why is that?
We've been to the Mayo Clinic 6 times. We have done all kinds of genetic testing, and there just is no way to determine what Corey has. And I can go into the complexities of testing if you want, but basically, you have to know what you're looking for a lot of times in especially in chromosomal defects. And we did that. We would look at Corey, and then we'd look at the syndromes, or the geneticist would. That she would test for it, and it would come back negative. That just happened over and over and over again.
When did you first realize that something special about Corey?
The first time anything was really brought, well, actually, I'll let Mike speak to that because it was in the hospital.
So the very first was during the birthing process. Immediately thereafter, it was a distressed delivery, if you will. They had to get him out, and so when they brought him out, they immediately took him over to a crash cart, and kind of. I stayed with Dawn. He was over there. You're kind of looking, out of the corner of your eye, wondering just, what's going on. So there was some distress, but everything seemed to be, okay after that. Dawn recovered, but didn't see him for however long to the next day or whatever the case may be. And so that might have just planted something in the back of our minds. And then as they were doing some of the checking him out, the first things that came to mind were physical issues, and the first one that they decided to change our lives with was that he had a heart defect. And then we're obviously paraphrasing, but we remember this one part where we asked those questions like, well, will he ever be able to fill in the blank? And I don't know if they choose to paint a bleak picture, but it was kind of conveyed to us, well, don't get your hopes up. He may never be able to do this, that, or the other thing. So it started off
This
physically.
is in day 2 or 3 of his life.
Yeah.
First 24 hours.
Okay.
So, we're getting that, and we're dealing with that and trying to understand that. And then went in for a procedure while we were still there, and luckily, God ordained, I was standing with him prior to the procedure, looked down, and he turned completely blue. He was he had stopped breathing, and so called a nurse over, technician, someone that was in the room, push Dad out of the way, grab the baby, start to literally, pound on his back. They take him over to get him fresh oxygen or pure oxygen and revive him. And, we have no idea what was going on at that moment. So I think, first and foremost, there were a number of physical issues that surprised us. And as, first-time parents, we didn't quite know how to react to that. But that was the hand that was dealt first and foremost.
Right away. Did he ever have heart surgery?
That's one of our many beautiful miracle stories. He had 3 heart defects. 2 of them they said would take care of themselves, and the third one we just had to watch. And so they were watching it, and we would go in every 6 months to have it checked, and it just continued to get worse. And they said, okay, the next time you come in at the rate we're going, you're probably going to have to do a procedure. They were going to have to do an angioplasty, I think, or the balloon procedure, basically.
Okay.
And we had seen a pastor who does healing prayer at Hope, which is how it was kind of our entry into Hope. He had met with Corey and had prayed with us and with him. And the next time we went back, he had leveled off. And every visit after that, he continued to get better. And eventually, we were completely discharged, and the doctor said there was no evidence that he'd ever had a heart issue, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
You're lucky to get it to just freeze where it is. But now there's actually no record anymore that he's ever had a heart issue.
And you're definitely feeling that prayer was answered and God healed him.
Absolutely, no question.
Dawn and Mike Schneider are my guests today, along with Lila Stafford from Powell CDC. Of course, we talk about how alcohol impacts people. We talk about how drugs, both legal and illegal, impact people. Basically, life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups. Food issues, which I know you're passionate about. Today, we're talking about something different, something that's hard to track in an amazing young man by the name of Corey Schneider, and we'll get to know him a little better when we come back. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and we're live here on Recovery Monday on KTIA Iowa 99.3.
father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Get away from us, you need old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit, you're our hero!
See 'em here, see 'em there. You got bad credit, we don't care.
Visit emetroford.com for your guaranteed credit approval. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. Everybody drives with guaranteed credit approval at emetroford.com. Visit emetroford.com today.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Okay, we're back on Recovery Monday. Thank you for being with us today. We are live on webcast1live.com, and our special guests today are Dawn and Michael Schneider, who have two amazing children. There is just two, right? Okay.
Correct.
I keep saying that, and I thought, oh boy, I hope there's not a third. Kellen, who is a sophomore at a college in Nashville, Belmont, and Corey, who is 17, a junior or senior?
Junior.
A junior. Now, I know some of you are listening to this on the American Family Radio Network, and you can't see the pictures, but if you were to go to Restoring Hope and watch this, because this is also being televised, we're going to show you a picture of Corey. We've got 3 or 4 pictures of Corey that they have sent us. There he is at the Iowa State Fair, and what is he holding up? Looks like a spider.
No, it's a trophy. He got the one-man band idol trophy for being the best spectator. He fell in love with the one-man band, and they became great friends, and Corey requested songs, and he would conduct, and he would sing, and he would dance, and so he's very proud of his trophy.
That's awesome. Was that this year?
Yes.
Yeah. That one-man band guy is pretty good. He's got like a lot of stuff going on.
Yes, he does.
Didn't he say he wanted one of those for Christmas?
Yes.
A one-man band?
Corey wants to be a one-man band, yes.
Now, that brings us to an interesting subject. He has a wonderful personality. He is interested in simple and complex things. He loves to participate, sing in the choir, sing with the one-man band. Is he sometimes hard to hold back? You know, you think sometimes of a special need child, you're constantly pushing and promoting and come on, get out there and do what you need to do because, he doesn't feel like he fits or whatever. But it seems like with Corey, you do a lot more pulling the reins back than you ever would to whip the horses to go forward.
The concept of not belonging, Corey he can't grasp that concept.
He doesn't see it.
No,
good. Well,
not
that's
at all.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to ask you something. You're going to have to be honest with me. That's because of you guys, right?
I think that's the way God wired him.
Yeah, but if he had grown up with two parents telling him the opposite, that's what he would probably believe or he would fight against.
He could be taught that, yes.
Yeah.
I won't disagree with that, but there was no point in teaching him that.
Right. So
I think to your point, though, we consciously try to put him in situations where he can spread his wings, and he has to establish boundaries as any 17-year-old would. So it's a little bit harder for his parents to let those boundaries grow because it makes us nervous. We had an example this year where he, quote unquote, went to college. First time ever that he's been away from his parents.
Wow.
Without a family member, whether it be his brother or something, or caregiver. And, he was in a whole nother state away from us. And
How long was he gone?
4 days, 3 nights, and 3 bloody noses. Because if you ask him about college, he'll tell you that he had 3 bloody noses at college.
Okay.
Well, how were you guys during that time? Was it hard for you too?
I don't think it was hard. It was the Best Buddies conference. Mm-hmm. So if he wasn't safe at a Best Buddies conference,
where would he be?
With caregivers who know what they're dealing with. Yeah. He had a wonderful young man from Johnston, Iowa, was his roommate, who's going to be the president of that high school's Best Buddies chapter. We met him. He came down to Corey's baseball game, met him, a couple times beforehand, and again, just to make it a positive experience. And then we had to just let it go.
Yeah.
I did spend a lot of time on my knees beforehand, reminding God because, he needs the reminder.
I don't have any stress in my life either.
How much he loves Corey, but that Corey's protection was all his because there wasn't anything we could do.
Yeah.
So if Corey was going to be safe, that was he was going to have to cover that.
Yeah.
Now, you guys both, from what I see of you and know of you, and I suppose we've known each other. Well, you've been at Hope longer than we've been at Hope 10 years. You are delightful people. You really have wonderful souls. God's love just kind of comes out of you guys. Not all the time. I'm sure there's difficult times. But your mother bear instinct, that's well hidden, isn't it?
Not always.
Well, and that's kind of what I mean.
No.
That's kind of what I mean. My wife, CJ, is an amazing woman, and I love everything about her, but I learned very quickly, because we're a blended family, I learned very quickly a boundary, and that was her children. Even though they became our children, still to this day, there are moments when I see those claws come out, and boy, oh boy, I back out.
I try to never use claws. I really try to do it all in love and encouragement because I know that burning bridges isn't going to be helpful for anybody.
Yeah.
And so if I can get people to join our parade instead of dragging them along, that's usually my first way to go.
But there must have been some teachers along the way who caused you to question whether they deserved the teaching certificate they had quote unquote earned from JCPenney. How did you deal with those situations? Because you obviously clearly saw Corey for the potential all the time, and they, I'm sure, saw it a different way.
Yes, we had an incident in early elementary school where he had a very young teacher. She's a brand new teacher with no special ed experience. And there was a lot of training that had to happen. But as God always does, he put some incredible people in our path. And there was a behavior psychologist who is now a dear friend of ours who helped walk alongside her and helped walk alongside us in order to help her get the skills that she needed. But one of the things that she did was she would remove Corey from the classroom and tell him not to do something. And I just gently reminded her that it would not be, that's not successful, that you need to redirect him, you need to give him something to do. He loves to work, give him a worksheet. And my putting you in a room of isolation and saying, don't think blue, is not going to work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for you and it's not going to work for him.
Yeah.
And so there were definitely instances like that. But more often than not, it could be done. It could be done gently without claws.
See, I think all teachers need to be educated by the parents.
Well, and I need to add here, you were a teacher. So
yes,
you're-
and then
you're
I've
not
taught
spe-
teachers how to be teachers
Yeah.
for that reason, because my children all have ADD, and none of the teachers knew how to deal with them. So I used to come at the beginning of each semester and sit with all the teachers. I have a picture of my children because I figure by the time they're in junior high and high school, these teachers have hundreds of kids. So I have a picture of them, and I just say, this is my child. This is how they work best, you know, and this will make it easy on you if you know this and this and this. And then what do I need to know from you? And I've told the teachers before these schools that because I was a teacher, that was easy for me. But there are so many parents out there that don't have that. They don't have the guts, number one, or they put so much power in these teachers. Is like they won't speak up for themselves. So I said, you know, I'm one that's making waves here, but there's, you know, 100 behind me that aren't doing anything.
Was that ever not received well?
Yes.
Most of the time?
I'll just say my name's not particularly good at some of the schools. The teachers, either the ones that are willing to learn were right there and wanted to do that. And then there are some that are very defensive. It's their way, their highway. They don't care what you're saying. And there were problems then. And you talk about mother clause, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, I've known you long enough to know that.
Yeah. Don't mess with my kids.
Yeah.
When I know that they, just like I said, there's a pathway to success, let's figure this out.
And you had that many times. I'm
Absolutely,
sure.
yes. I tried to be proactive though along the way and make sure I'm getting the right people on the path.
Yes.
And have those conversations ahead of time. Who are the teachers who love to teach this kind of a kid?
Yeah.
And how do I get Corey on their team?
Yeah.
And so just eliminating as much of that as possible.
Just an example, we were walking the mall yesterday, and if she's listening, she'll know who she is. We ran into his first grade teacher, and they have a love relationship still to this day. And it's just fun and beautiful to watch in public, you know, just how they interact. And we firmly believe that, you know, Corey is blazing trails, and we're along for the ride. And this teacher who had no special needs experience now has special needs experience, and who better, in our opinion, who better to learn from than to learn from Corey?
Yeah.
And Don managed his care through the school age years, and so I think the school system is benefiting from the Coreys of the world. He's but one of many, many, many that are teaching the teachers.
That's what I was going to say. That the children are teaching the teachers, and they also teach the parents. You know, there's so many lessons to learn from these children that you would never guess.
Well, and another beautiful thing is the Coreys of the world, and we're just using him as he's ours and he's an example, but they're teaching, and more importantly for me, they're teaching their peers. We had a young lady yesterday at service. Her family sat behind us. She chose to sit next to Corey. And, you know, so when you start to see that and you see how the kids are more accepting these days than perhaps, you know, in years past, I think the sad thing is, at least for me personally, is I missed knowing Corey's when I grew up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just because of the day, because of the time, because of the
I was
era.
really lucky there because I lived in Nebraska. I lived in Beatrice, Nebraska, and the state developmental home was in Beatrice. And so they were among us all the time. And so they were just one of us.
Yep.
In fact, when I had a band in junior high, called Pegasus, yes. We would go out to the developmental home and play. And you've never seen happier people.
Yeah.
With music and interaction, and it was just awesome, you know. And yesterday I was shepherding the overflow in the 11 o'clock service, and some of the One Body kids came in. And they're awesome. But you do have to look through that lens, because there are a lot of mean people who just refuse to accept that somebody might be different than they are, and that could be just as much a God's creature as anybody else. And I'm sure you've run into them before.
We have, but interestingly enough, not a lot.
Yeah.
But we also were very intentional in his upbringing. We moved school districts to, or schools, I should say, just because of, you know, the feel that we wanted in the environment and in the neighborhood. So yeah, parenting is, you can't dismiss parenting. We have to make choices, and we have decisions to make. But all in all, the community, we live in West Des Moines, we'll promote that in the Western Hills neighborhood, and it's been wonderful for him. He's been very much accepted, and we haven't, one little playground incident sticks out from, years past where, kids were being kids perhaps, but for the most part.
But many more rallied around him
Yeah.
in that situation,
Yeah.
and they were the ones that made sure that justice happened.
Yeah.
So
Would Corey know what a bully is?
no.
No.
He has
Good.
no idea. He's had 3 peers the entire time he's been in school who have not liked him. And he knows it intuitively, but does not know it cognitively.
Okay.
And so he is determined that he's going to make them his friend.
Yeah.
And
'Cause
he's
everybody is his
relentless.
friend.
That's the child that he wants to sit by at lunch. That's the child that he wants to work with on the project. That's how he does it. And I don't think he understands why. But yeah, that's how he deals with it.
Did you ever think about homeschooling?
For very brief moments, several times, just because it gets frustrating when he doesn't fit the path. But I always abandon the thought almost immediately because he's so social.
Yeah.
He has got to be with people.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Up against our next break, Dawn and Mike Schneider are here with us today. 2 kids, Kellen, 19, at Belmont University in Nashville, learning to be in the music and film industry, and Corey, who is a senior this year? Junior this year. And he's got some passions of his own, and we're going to talk about some of those passions and show you some more pictures if you're watching this on Webcast One Live. And if not, thanks for listening to the American Family Radio Network right here on KTIA, Iowa.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershad.
I'm administrative manager
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
back on Recovery Monday on this gorgeous day. We sure thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this program on the American Family Radio Network. 143 stations across the country, a Christ-centered network of radio programs for teaching and preaching, and then there's shows like this when we just open up a world to you. We love to come in and have people tell their stories and know that they are safe in doing so. And why do we do this? We do this because there's somebody out there who's got a son or daughter at home, just like Corey, and they're constantly wanting to know more about how to stimulate these kids and how to love them and how to make sure they know they're loved and how to motivate them to get all out of life and more that they can. And that's why we do these type of shows. Don and Mike Schneider are here today. They have 2 children. Kellen, who is 19 at Belmont College in Nashville, wants to be a film producer or kind of like a geeky, nerdy film guy.
Motion picture, clean comedy. His dream is to be, Jimmy Fallon. He loves sketch comedy.
So he does like the other side of the camera also.
He does. He actually was raised on the stage.
Okay.
And from age 6, he's been acting and singing.
So did he do things at Valley?
At Valley? Oh, yeah, all 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
His first role was at age 6. He was in a play called Race down at the Stoner Theater in the Civic Center.
Oh.
And the Des Moines Playhouse recommended him, and it called for a 10-year-old young boy to play a young German youth in a very sensitive play, and that was the start, and he never looked back.
Now, I may get the wording incorrect, but you're a playwright?
I don't know if I'm a playwright. I've written. I wouldn't go that far. I've written stuff. How's
You've written
that?
plays.
I wrote a musical.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, I was going to say, and you've written the musical score that goes with it.
Well, not the music portion. I had to help with that. I put the
Okay.
concept together, most of the lyrics, and the concept, the flow, and then we had that performed out at Hope, which
I was
was
going to
really
say
cool.
that was performed at Hope 3-4 years ago. What was that called?
It's called Girders. And,
Yeah. That was a good show.
Yeah, it was fun.
Now, would you like to see that off Broadway?
I'd love to see it anywhere and everywhere, but I think the metaphor, real quickly, because it's not. Corey and I were walking the mall. That's another one of our things to do is we walk the mall because in the winter we need to get him out of the house and stimulate him. And we're walking by one of those artwork stores, and I've seen that iconic photo a gazillion times. This time, God stopped me in my tracks and said, "Count the men." And how many men are on the girder?
12.
No, 11.
11.
Which where's the 12th disciple, the fallen one is Judas. So there's the metaphor. That was the whole, the premise of the story.
Did you see the play?
I'm trying to think.
The set were girders.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And they would be on different parts of the girders singing and performing. It was an awesome play. I mean,
I'm thinking I saw it because when I look at you, I think of you as doing that. So I must have seen it.
It was excellent.
fun. Yeah.
It was really good. I'm trying to think of the guy who I liked in it that's kind of bigger, and he sings a lot at Hope.
Oh, Dalen Mackey.
Yeah, boy, is he wonderful.
He's awesome.
He's awesome.
The whole group of men there were just phenomenal.
All right, back to Corey, 17. Cognitive development delays. Now, that's the term for it. Tell me what goes on in Corey's head.
Oh, I would love to know. I've often said if I could just have 5 minutes inside his head to get how God wired him, I could only probably handle 5. But I don't know. I believe that when we get to heaven, people are going to look a lot more like Corey and a lot less like you and me.
Okay.
He doesn't get wrapped up in the small stuff. One of his therapists was concerned because he didn't know what it meant to be embarrassed. He knew what it meant to make his brother embarrassed, but he didn't know what it meant to feel embarrassed because he doesn't care. And she said, he needs to get into therapy so that he can learn that. And I thought there's absolutely no reason for that.
Absolutely. I agree with you completely.
No, it's a social mechanism, I believe, to help people understand what boundaries are. And when you step out of those boundaries, Corey can be taught that other ways.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to know what it means to be embarrassed.
Right.
So, yeah, he doesn't get embarrassed. I believe that he sees people differently than we do. I think he sees who they are, not what they look like.
Okay.
He gets
See, those are the gifts that I'm talking about.
I know.
Yeah.
He gets identical twins correct 100% of the time.
Really?
Yes.
Cool.
Scary.
Yes.
Cool.
It just tells you that he's seeing something other than what we're
Yes.
seeing, and he doesn't care about the appearance.
Yeah, when I see families together, extended family, I always try to figure out who the relatives are by facial and how they act, and he would know that right away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
Although I don't know that he would, because the relational connectedness is more important to him than the family tie.
Yeah, okay.
So he may make a family look differently than we would
Yeah.
because of the way their spirits are connected.
Now, does he have any talents in art to draw?
Hates it. Absolutely
Hates it.
hates
Okay.
it. Coloring at our house was a spectator sport.
Okay.
He would say, "Mom, you want to color?" And he'd pick it out and he'd tell me what color, and I would color, and he would watch.
Okay.
So his form of artwork, if I can draw this, he's a savant at puzzles.
Okay.
He will sit for hours and hours and hours and do puzzles, and he has no problem taking one piece and doing this and trying. I mean, it is
Like jigsaw puzzles.
Oh yeah.
And they get done every time.
Oh yeah, it is so fun to watch,
that would drive me crazy.
one is great quiet time when we need quiet time, or if we're not ready to leave the house, but he's certainly ready to go and we need 10, 15, 20, whatever it is.
Does he say, "I'm in the car"?
No.
Nobody'd like to.
Yeah.
He would be that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's Pastor Mike's. We'll leave that with him.
Now, speaking of automobiles, does Corey drive?
No, he will never drive.
He will never drive.
He won't probably ever, miracles happen, we get that, but he can't cross the street properly.
Okay.
He does have a tricycle, which, thank you, the Variety Club. He was gifted with a
three-wheeled recumbent bike.
Okay.
Yep. But we have to, run and or walk with him.
Now, when you say he doesn't cross the street, what does that mean? He doesn't understand the two white lines?
If you take him to the street and have him tell him, okay, now you need to look both ways and see if any traffic's coming. That's going to be hard for radio listeners, but he'll turn his head to the left, turn his head to the right, not have taken anything in.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he looked left and he looked right. But he does, to Dawn's earlier statement about how he processes differently. He can't, quote unquote, can't process the fact that there is oncoming traffic, and that would be a danger if he were to step out.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
He
he
doesn't know where he is in space. His spatial awareness is very off. He has double vision and no depth perception, so that makes it very hard for him to tell how far things are away. So, yeah, it's just too complicated.
Now, he is a passionate young man, and one of the things he is he's on the swim team at his local high school. And we've got a picture there for those of you on Webcast One Live
great picture.
watching him swim competitively. Does he enjoy the competitiveness, or does he enjoy just swimming?
He enjoys the social interaction with the team.
Okay. Does he get being on the team, that he's a member of the team, he's one of the guys?
He does. He, in his way, of course, but he loves the pre-swim meet time when they all march into the restroom and they do their rah-rah in there. Then they walk out in a line and they circle the pool. We had to coach him, and the first couple times he thought all of the applause was for him, so he would stop and bow to the crowd. So we had to kind of coach that away. So yeah, the social interaction, loves it. The picture there, when he gets giddy, he gets excited when it is his time to swim, he will give everything he's got for the 50 yards.
Oh, 25 first.
25 first and 25 back. We do have a funny story. One of his early 50-yard, before the team really knew how to work with Corey, and they love him, they go to the end of the pool at the 25 meter mark, and they would be there to cheer him on and encourage him to turn. Well, he would stop, stand up and say hi to all the guys that were there to cheer him on by name.
By name, yeah.
By name, and then decide, as we're cheering, Corey, go, go. Then he would say, oh, yeah, I guess I got to swim the rest of the way.
25 to swim.
So the coach, recognizing that, has now taught the boys, don't stand at the halfway
Stand at
point.
this end and cheer him back. Don and Mike Schneider are my guests. They have an amazing young man at home, two, one down in Nashville and the other one named Corey, and we're learning about him today. And we just hope you've learned something too, the gentleness of all of God's creatures. Any way they are, there is no normal. Everyone has special needs, and we'll continue when we come back right here on RestoringHopeLive.com.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We're back for the last few minutes today of Restoring Hope Live, brought to you, of course, by Powell CDC, Lila Stafford, a counselor there, and Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, also our guest today, or our co-host today, and Ryan is producing. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and if I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love this job, and I couldn't do it without you. Let's talk about the future. Corey is 17. Will he seek further education in college and things like that, or will you want him to?
Yes, maybe, no. This is a current reality for us. We've been having discussions about the future. We've been making plans, as parents should, as far as guardianship, things, that need to be in place should something catastrophic happen with Don and I. And then we talk about this, I call it the super senior. He's entitled by law to go to school until age 21. And so we have that option. He's a junior, he'll be a senior, and then till age 21, he could participate in whatever that programming looks like. We don't know if it's right for Corey, and so we're trying to understand what options are out there. There are a number of colleges that have programs that are, including, I think, the University of Iowa has REACH, I think it's called. And so we need to do our own homework and figure out what is next for him. But we talked earlier about how social he is. There has to be something. He would not do well if he had to live in a home with 1, 2, or 3 other boys. He'd sit around and be in front of a screen all day if left to his own devices. So,
long term, we would love to see him working in a nursing home.
Okay.
We just think that he would be a huge blessing to the residents. There's a lot that he could do, but in the meantime, he could be establishing relationships with people who might be lonely. He can listen to the same stories over and over and over again.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
That's where we'd really like to see him. And we want to thank one of his educators for planting that seed in our mind, because we think it's a great fit.
Lila, are you thinking of someone I'm thinking that we know who owns nursing homes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We might have a connection for you there.
That'd be awesome.
What about a marital situation? What about the ability to...
Interestingly
enough,
he
loves,
yes.
So he can fall in love. Has he ever had a girlfriend?
He met a young woman. Mike's probably gonna have to take this story over because I can get about halfway through it. But he met a young woman at family camp up at Okoboji. We go to Okoboji Lutheran Bible Camp every summer. Have for a lot of years. Was the only family vacation we could take for a long time because Corey was not easy to travel with. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, they've been going as long as we have, but 9 years into it, we finally went the same week. She's the first peer he's ever had. it seems like everybody is either light years ahead of him or just someplace else. Nobody's in the same place as he is and gets what he gets. But she does. And the two of them are just like a little old married couple. It is the sweetest thing you'll ever see. They would eat every meal together. They would take turns eating with each family so that we could each have time with them. They would sit down at the beginning of free time and decide what they wanted to do during their free time and how they would map out their time so they could do what both of them wanted to do. It seems like the things that he can't do, she can do, and the things that she can't do, he can do. So unfortunately, they live in Arizona. So they don't see each other very often, but they Skype and they talk on the phone, and it's just the cutest thing you've ever seen. It comes from a very large family and has responsibilities. So she'll be cleaning a bathroom and she'll put the phone on speakerphone and he'll sing to her and entertain her, and she'll practice piano and he'll sing along with her. And
or he'll say, he'll say, I'm going to put the phone down. He'll put the phone down, go to his guitar and just start, singing to her.
So yeah, it's completely conceivable that marriage wouldn't look the same for them as it would for a lot of people. They would need support. But yes, I think that marriage is a possibility.
And her name's Kelly.
Yes.
Kelly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tough question. Are you prepared to spend the rest of your life with him under your roof?
Amen. Bring it on.
We are.
Is that what you're anticipating, probably?
So my joke, my joke of late, so Dawn re-entered the workforce, even though she worked at church and other things, but she was a professional when I met her. She's always been a professional, but she had a career. And then we were afforded the benefit of her being able to stay home for a good period of time. Now she's re-entered the workforce officially. And my joke of late is, if you will, would you take one of those sales jobs so that in 2 years, when Corey graduates, because he's a man and he's only going to become more of a man, and I would love to be able to shepherd whatever that is. I don't know what it looks like. We don't know what it looks like. But if he's out in public and they have to go to the restroom and he needs help,
I'm not the one to take him.
Yeah. And candidly, we still do have those issues.
Yeah.
And swim team, we have to make special accommodations. And so I'd love it if, we don't play the lottery but boy, if that lottery ticket hit and we were afforded that benefit to where we could do something like that, I'd love to see my end of my career, if you will, figuring out what his days look like. I don't know. Again, it's one of those, it's a whim.
Yeah.
It's just one of those thoughts that just goes through the head. Because
we'll figure it out, and God will give us an option. He always has.
Yeah.
Jill King at King's Christian Bookstore in Boone, one of our good listeners, said Corey should check out JIG Zone, so jigzone.com.
Okay.
Okay.
Special site with jigsaw puzzles and things like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Medically, you mentioned off air that he's got one more trip to Mayo.
Yes, we want to do genetic testing one more time. Technology's getting better all the time. We feel like we owe it to his brother to know if this is some type of a chromosomal defect that he has to pay attention to. So yeah, we'll take him back probably one more time.
But otherwise, he's healthy.
For the most part, he has a couple of issues. He ends up in the hospital about once a year for about, it could be an ER visit, it could be a week.
Okay.
He has an issue called cyclic vomiting, and once he starts vomiting, the only thing you can do is let whatever it is that's causing it run its course, and then he has to be medically treated to keep him hydrated during the course, and then the medication needs to help it quit.
Best thing about him. I would tell you from the view from the pew is how much he loves his mom and dad.
Yeah.
Because that is evident.
And his brother.
Always evident.
And his brother.
Yeah.
I would say
amazing.
just how much he loves.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Watching him love anybody is
Yeah.
beautiful.
He's just awesome walking down the halls in church saying hi to people and people saying hi to him. I think he's more popular than Pastor Mike.
He puts smiles on people's faces.
Yeah, he
It's
does.
hard
He
to-
does. You watch that at church, and it's just amazing.
Yeah,
It is.
he does.
We have a friend who calls him liquid sunshine, and I think that's right on.
Advice to parents listening who have a child with the same situation. What would you share with them?
I'll go first, and I'll say model my wife. Get involved. Get involved early. you are the, with a capital T, capital H, capital E, advocate. We've been blessed in the school system. We've had the same associates since second grade. That's rare. But you're their one and only advocate.
10 seconds.
Create allies.
Okay.
Bring
Not enemies.
Bring as many people alongside who want to do the right thing.
Don and Mike Schneider have been our guests. Lila, thanks for being here. Bob, thanks for being here. Ryan, thanks for producing. And until I see you again, pick that person in your life that you're carrying a resentment against, somebody that you just can't stand. Drop to your knees tonight and forgive them, because it's really a gift you'll give yourself. Have a great week. I'll see you later.